So what is it about the bees in Begonia? Let's talk about the weird new sci-fi movie now. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. I'm here to talk to you about Bugonia, which comes to theaters, limited theaters on October 24th, 2025, and then a nationwide release on October 31st, 2025, just in time for spooky season. It is a spooky movie. It is a weird movie. It has a relationship to bees. That's why I'm in this bee suit, though I'm not going to stay in it long because it is uncomfortable. So hold on. All right, but is this movie a movie you should check out? Is this strange journey one you should go on? My hot take is I think you should watch it. It is a movie that starts off very slow and very strange, but at least starts to pick up. It stays strange throughout, but the pace starts to pick up and it's kind of helped by this fantastic music, wonderful cinematography, great cast, and the weirdness. Like it is a very weird movie, but that kind of like ends up playing out pretty well towards the end. So I think you should watch it, although if you don't like movies that are a little bit slow, that don't kind of like take their time, you're not gonna like this movie. But I enjoyed it. I didn't love it at the start. Definitely looked at my watch a couple times, but as it picked up, as the kind of story kept moving, I was kind of hooked and really, liked the way it ended. So, all that being said, I'm gonna tell you about the film, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So, as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some big surprises along the way. I would turn it off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. Let's try to get to the spoilers. In Begonia, you have two kind of like conspiracy obsessed young men who come up with this plan based on these strange fringe conspiracies that they have that they hope will save the Earth, but might end up destroying them. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I love the music. It's got great music. Really kind of like nice sinister music at the start as like the more thriller side of things happens, and then as the plot kind of like builds and gets more crazy, the music becomes more chaotic, and it really helps to contribute to that overall feeling that there is a lot going on here, and maybe not all of it is going right. So, second thing I love the cinematography. Really great cinematography, wonderful camera work, wonderful shots to help kind of like build tension, can keep you on edge, and emphasizes some really interesting aspects of this like very bizarre situation that Begonia depicts. Third thing I love the themes. There's some themes in here. There's, conspiracy versus, I guess, reality. There's the haves versus the have-nots. There's winners versus losers. There's a lot of like interesting themes here that are crucial to the overall story and that kind of keep coming up again. The fourth thing I love, great cast, fantastic cast, small cast. It is a small kind of cast movie, but Emma Stone is amazing as Michelle. Jesse Plemons is great as Teddy. Aidan Delbis is great as Dawn. Just really good, strong cast here that helps to kind of propel the story. They all have to do very strange things, and so they all and they go all in. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, you see Emma Stone goes all in for this movie. The fourth thing I love the effects. Really good effects. There's not a ton. It's not a an effects heavy movie, but when they do it, it seems practical. It seems really well done. It doesn't really break your suspension of disbelief. I think they do a really good job with not using too many effects, but kind of putting them in the right spots. And the last thing I love the ending. I thought it was a great ending. I'm not going to go into it here. I'll go into it in the recap. But this movie ends really well. Like I said, very slow start, and very very strongly. So. All that being said, things I didn't love as much, just kind of brought it up. It's slow. It's got a very slow start. It really is going to takes its time, lays some groundwork, gives you a sense of how strange this whole situation is. But like I said, it starts to pick up towards the end. So bear with it and you'll enjoy it. The second thing I didn't love, it's strange. It's weird. It is just very weird, especially at the start when it's throwing out a bunch of ideas and things like that. And you're just kind of like trying to keep up with all the different themes and different side stories and things that like that are happening. It is a very, very strange movie, but I promise you it comes together in the end. So, all that being said, Begonia comes to theaters on October 24th, 2025 to limited theaters, and then nationwide on October 31st, 2025. I think you should check it out. I think it was interesting enough, strange enough that I enjoyed it. So, if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So, if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So Begonia has two main people. You've got Teddy and Dawn. They're kind of living off grid. They're very conspiracy minded. Although Teddy seems to be the main driver, Dawn seems to have some sort of developmental delays, and so Dawn is Teddy's cousin. Teddy's been taking care of him, and it seems like as he's been taking care of him, he has been like indoctrinating him with these strange conspiracies that he has gone all in on. Now, on the other side, You got Michelle, who's a high-powered CEO of some sort of drug company, some sort of large corporation. She seems to be living the perfect life. She exercises, she eats well, she takes care of herself, she has a ton of power. Seems like she is just kind of like doing it all. Now, Teddy and Dawn seem to be playing something, and eventually we find out they kidnap Michelle. They capture her when she gets back to her house, and they do this because they believe she is not human. Well, at least Teddy believes she's not human. Specifically, he believes that she's an Andromedan. When they get her, they drug her, bring her back to their house, and he's like pointing out different things about her, about how he can tell that she's an Andromedan. Some of it is like she doesn't look like she's 45. She's got like pronounced features, things like that. And then they do some crazy stuff to like prevent her from contacting her spaceship. They shave her head because they say that like the hair are receptors. I guess I would not be a very good Andromedan. I guess I would not be able to contact the spaceship either, unfortunately. And they also like cover her in antihistamine to prevent additional contact, things like that. And they keep her chained up to make sure she doesn't escape. And because of what they are eventually asking her. Now they want her to admit that she's an Andromedan and then make contact with her spaceship. Teddy believes that they'll be able to make contact. They'll be able to like travel to her spaceship during the lunar eclipse, which happens in 4 days. And there he can talk to the Andromedan Emperor, who he needs to do this to save Earth. He believes that the Emperor is going to destroy all of Earth, and so he is the one person that can do this. But there are layers here as well. It starts off as this kind of interesting, but there's all of these like flashbacks to like things in Teddy's life that have happened that may have shaped his view and may have like influenced how he treats Michelle. Now, apparently, Teddy's mom was some sort of addict. I think she was an opioid addict, and she took part in some sort of experimental therapy that Michelle's company had, and so this put her, Teddy's mom, and other like subjects into a coma. And the company, did right. They admitted fault. They paid for, Teddy's mom's care, but that doesn't kind of alleviate the fact that he hasn't had his mom for a long time, that she has been in a coma, that he is kind of like stuck here. And so there's a bit of rage that comes out in Teddy during some of these interactions. Usually he's level-headed. Usually he is, logical to the extent that he could be logical. But sometimes he will go a little bit more aggressive with Michelle, and you're wondering like, is this some sort of built-up rage inside him, or is this, his like desire to really make her admit that she's an Andromedan? So during this whole process, he is treating her like an Andromedan. So he's depriving her of food. He's like forcing her to admit that she's an alien. And eventually, I guess it all works. After enough pressure, enough time, enough torture, she admits it. She says that she's an alien, that, Teddy was right, that he saw the signs. And you're like, okay, now we can exhale. But no, Teddy then sets her up for like a shock treatment. And he keeps shocking her, like going higher and higher, 100 volts, 200 volts, 300 volts, eventually gets to 400 volts. And he's like, she can take it, she can take it. But Dawn, his cousin, eventually tells him to stop it and turns it off. She seems like she's kind of like in a coma. She's like twitching, but I guess this flips a switch in Teddy. And after this, because she could take so much, voltage, he thinks that she's royalty. So he starts treating her very well. He's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that you were royalty, your Majesty." He makes her a very nice dinner. But during this dinner, Teddy and her have a discussion about, I guess, the study with his mom and what happened. And he eventually goes off the handle and he runs across the table to try to like strangle her. They get into a fight. Eventually, she gets the upper hand, but Dawn comes and saves Teddy as she's strangling him. And during all this, a cop who has been like talking to Teddy in a weird way, like, seems like they have a past. We don't really ever get into specifics on their past, but it seems like from what the context clues that we have, this cop used to babysit Teddy when he was younger. Feels like maybe he molested Teddy or did something horrible to Teddy, horribly embarrassing, or and whatnot. He says something like, "Oh, it was like a control thing. I've never done it to anyone else." It feels like he probably molested Teddy. We don't 100% know, but this cop seems to be trying to make amends, but he's also coming by because he's asking about this case. So when that cop comes by, Michelle and Dawn go into the basement, and Teddy, talks to him, and then eventually distracts him to go check on the bees. The bees are a theme in this movie. It starts with the bees. Teddy says that one of the things that's happening with these Andromedans is that they're killing the bees, and the bees are going away. And Teddy has like a bee hive, a bee setup in his house to try to like help the bees and also get fresh honey. So they go to check out the bees, and downstairs, Michelle eventually comes to after Dawn knocks her out, and she tries to convince Dawn to help her, to like save her. If he helps her, then he can, avoid jail time. He can, do what's right and whatnot. And Dawn seems to be kind of coming to this, and then eventually he's like, "Okay, I'll help you. Tell Teddy I'm sorry and I love him." And then Dawn shoots, turns a shotgun on himself, blows his brains out. The shotgun shot gets is loud and alerts Casey that something's going on. And in this moment, Teddy grabs a shovel and boom, smacks Casey, kills him. He comes down to check on what happened, sees Dawn, and seems like he is going to, shoot Michelle. Seems like he's going to take out his rape. But then she comes up with another plan. She's covered in blood, but she says that, Teddy's mother was a part of some sort of Andromedan experiment to save people, and that the experiment has to go on for 5 more years. That's why she's been in a coma. But there is a cure to wake her up, and it's in her car. It's in her car in an antifreeze bottle. So if he goes and administers that, she'll wake up. Teddy believes her, gets the bottle, and hurries to the hospital. And in this moment, he's like frantically riding to the hospital on his bike. The music is so chaotic. It's perfect. Now, during this time, Michelle fishes out the keys from Dawn's pocket, unlocks herself, and then explores the basement and finds a secret room with the results of Teddy's experiments, where he has been finding Andromedans, dissecting people, taking copious notes, just all sorts of like serial killer type things. So she kind of learns all of this. Now Teddy goes and administers the antidote, which kills his mother. He puts antifreeze in her IV, it goes into her, she goes into shock, and then eventually she dies. Teddy is devastated by this. He runs quickly, gets back on his bike, goes back to confront the Andromedan Michelle. And when he gets there, Michelle's free and kind of staring at him. She seems like she's in control here. She asks how many Andromedans do you find? And he said two. Figure out, and then it seems like she makes a plan to try to get her some freedom. She's going to take him to her ship. So the next day, the day of the eclipse, the day when Teddy thinks that he can go contact the Andromedan ship, they go to Michelle's work. She walks in like nothing's happening, even though she's been kidnapped for like 4 days. It's been a big news story, a big hunt. She walks into her office, says, "Hi, I'm back. Yay." Closes all the curtains and tells Teddy that they're going to contact the ship. She, fishes through her drawer, finds an old calculator. It's like, "This is the key. I have to put in a 58-digit code." She starts typing. It looks like she's like buying time. And while she's doing this, Teddy opens up his jacket and says, "Just so you know, just so we're all clear, I've, brought protection," and he has a bomb strapped to his chest. He says that he's going to use it as a bargaining chip because he has to go negotiate with the Emperor to save the Earth. And she's like, "Oh, that was very smart. The Emperor will appreciate your strategy or whatever." Very, it seems like she's trying to kill time to figure out what to do. Seems like she's fishing for answers. And she comes up with one. She says, "Okay, so the teleporter's in the closet. Once I finish typing in the code, I'll count down to 3 and you'll teleport up." And she's like, "I can go first." He's like, "No, let me go first. I don't want you to like strand me." He's like, "Okay, that's fine." So he walks into the closet, closes the door. Michelle seems to be backing up, getting away. And eventually she, counts down 3, 2, 1, and then boom, the bomb goes off. Michelle is blown back, but she seems to be okay. But Teddy's head comes flying and smacks her in the face. So later, she's recovering. We see, some of the aftermath of the explosion. She's getting treated by EMT. She gets in an ambulance, starts going. She kind of like asks if she's okay, and if she's fine. They're like, "Yeah, you seem okay. You seem like you're in shock." She's like, "Okay," and then she starts unhooking herself, gets out of stops the ambulance, gets out, and starts walking to her office. And you're like, "What is going on? Why would she do this?" She seems to be hurrying. She sneaks into the office. It's a disaster because there was a bomb that went off. But she heads back in. She grabs a calculator, pops into the closet, and boom, the twist. The twist happens. She is transported to the ship that Teddy had envisioned. He had drawn it because he said he's the only one that could see it. It is exactly like that. She walks up. She, emerges from some sort of teleportation pool. There are people in strange outfits with a ton of hair. I guess Andromedans have great, fantastic hair. I'm very jealous of them. And we find out that Michelle is the Emperor. She is the Andromedan Emperor. They asked, like, "Oh, we couldn't contact you." And she's like, "Oh, he shaved my head. He put me in antihistamines." And she eventually says that it's time for the experiment to go. We found out earlier when Michelle was kind of like making up stories, but apparently they were true, that the Andromedans got here. They had dinosaurs, they were majestic, but then some sort of disease came and wiped out the dinosaurs. So the Andromedans made new species in their image, which is why Michelle looks kind of human, but is not human. And that, they went and thrived and flourished, but eventually there was a nuclear war that wiped out all of the life except for a few of the Homo sapiens. They were on an arc for 100 years as the world kind of like I guess calmed down from the nuclear winter. And those people eventually evolved, populated the Earth, became humans, but they never got out of this like war idea. The Andromedans wanted a perfect species. The humans kept fighting. They kept, killing each other. And so Teddy's worry, the thing that, everyone is worried about is that it seems like the Andromedans might pull the plug on the experiment. Well, I found out that they might because after, Michelle speaks to her council, it seems like she grabs a spear, and we see like a map of the Earth with a bubble over it. Looks like maybe an atmosphere or something. And she takes the spear and pops the bubble. And then boop, the bubble pops. And then the camera pulls back out of the Andromedan ship. And then we get a very long ending sequence. I love this ending sequence, but it is a little bit long. It feels like it's a little bit too involved. And we see tons of scenes of people just like dropping dead. Like they were all dead. They're all dead. We see the aftermath. We see people like in a classroom dead. We see people like at a wedding dead. We see driving cars on the road that have already crashed and people like dead in their cars. We see ships that are kind of moving because they were still moving, but everyone on them is dead. We see so many scenes. Very long. It's like I don't know, like 7 or 8 minutes of this. Eventually, we do see animals alive. So, like, there's a dog we see. I think we see a cat at some point. And eventually, we end on a scene of Teddy's bees. They're still alive. They're still moving. So, it seems like the bees will be coming back. It seems like the bees will survive and the animals will flourish, but the humans are all dead. And that is Bugonia. Like I said, I liked it. I thought it was, weird and strange, but it grew on me as the movie progressed. Some things that, we don't really know. How'd the bomb go off? Was it actually Teddy just being nervous, homemade explosive? Was it something that Michelle triggered? I assume Michelle triggered it because she has powers and things like that. But overall, I liked the twist. I liked how it ended in the most, strangest way possible, and that felt perfect. I'm glad that they didn't just kind of like end it with Michelle being taken to the hospital. I'm glad that they kind of like went all in on that. So definitely think you should check it out. And if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.